Extra Mile. A fun and informative companion piece to go with this week's episode, which it may be best to listen to first. Window open time. Open o'clock. Thank God it's not too hot today, so I don't need to open up 1,000 windows to cool down. Oh, there you go. Your hat has been removed. Welcome to Extra Mile, everyone. The mostly unscripted, isn't it? All this waffly bit is unscripted. The little sketch that I put in the centre, that's slight. It's not really massively edited. I just add in a bit afterwards. But there we go, folks. Oh, so I hope you enjoyed that episode. If indeed you can enjoy true crime episodes, it's kind of a misnomer, isn't it? It's kind of the most tragic part of someone's life and their death, but also your families dealing with the trauma afterwards. And yet, it's kind of for people, it's entertainment. And I know people go, "Oh, it's not really entertainment." It's interesting though. It's entertainment. If you're honest about it, that's what it is. It's people's entertainment. People wouldn't listen to it if they weren't entertained by it. It's odd, isn't it? It's a really odd thing. Same as war stories. It's tragic, but we listen to them because we like them and we find them interesting. But yeah, it's tragic. What's going on? Shall I make a cup of tea? Probably not. I think I'm all right at the moment, thanks. Thank you for offering. I don't think I'm going to have one. I'm already full of tea today. I've had a lot of tea this morning. I'm going to go to my little coffee shop in a bit. What time is it? 12 o'clock. I should get there by about 1:30, I think, hopefully. So that'll be good. I've got to record some little videos to go out today for the shows that we're doing in South Shields, which is, as of time of recording, this is 21st of May at the moment I'm recording this, so I think you're getting this middle of June. I'm trying to get myself ahead, because we have to waste about 4 days doing these shows in South Shields and Birmingham. It's on a Sunday and a Monday. As of time of recording, in a 480-seater venue, we've got 48 people booked in. I did say at the start, you should never book a venue on a Sunday night. And the Birmingham one, we sold out 20 for a Monday night. I did say at the start that we shouldn't do this, but there we go. So there we go. I've got to waste 4 days to go up and spend weeks rehearsing this show for a handful of people. Anyway, if you're coming along to it, I hope you enjoy it. It's 4 days in order to do all this. Oh, anyway, no. The good thing is it won't go to waste, because we've got some big plans for 2025, some live shows, and these won't be kind of little ones created by ourselves, because it's kind of hard for us to kind of do these shows, but also we kind of need someone behind us and backing us, and there's a group of us who've kind of got some a good company behind us who really want to do live shows with us, and they have experience of doing live shows as well. So this could be something really exciting. It's all secret. It's all quiet. It's secret at the moment. We can't discuss it, but I think the plan is that we kick it off in 2025. So that could be really good. In the meantime, don't forget, what we do have coming up soon is the True Crime Convention on the Saturday, the 7th of September. It's an all-day event. As mentioned before, you don't need to book in a ridiculous sums of money, like £300 to £800 for a ticket, which is an absolute effing rip-off. Tickets are £40. You buy them online. I spoke to the guy. I managed to help him set something up. So now we've got an online system which is secure. You can use your credit cards. You can be reassured that it's safe. I'll admit his logos are a bit shit, so it looks like a con, but it's not. We're involved with it, so don't worry, it's all good. The great thing is £44 a ticket, which is a bargain, all-day event, buffet included. You don't need to stay in a pricey 4-star hotel in London. This is in Sheffield. It's not too late. It doesn't finish too late. It doesn't start too early. Therefore, you can make a day of it if you want to. So, there's a link in the show notes. We're doing, me, Paul and Adam are doing a bit. Stu from British Murders is doing some. And there's some really good, I think Chris Clark is doing a bit as well. There's a nice mix, kind of victims, families, detectives. Just a real mix. There's one called Murder by Carpet. I'm looking forward to listening to that. Normally we would sit out back and we would just have fun, but this sounds like there's some good people involved, so we're going to enjoy that. What else is going on? If you're new to Extra Mile, don't forget we got quiz questions coming up. We got some extra stuff in the second half of the show as well. Bits that may not have made it into the episode as well. Thank you to new Patreon subscribers. We've got thank you to Gordon Williams. And thank you to Andy Young. So thank you to both of you. It was weird on that day. I was thinking, we haven't had a Patreon subscriber in a bit. And then within an hour, 2 came in. It's weird that sometimes happens. You get none and then you get a load at the same time. So thank you, Gordon Williams. Thank you, Andy Young. Thank you so much. You're now Patreon subscribers. You get loads of goodies, but also you get bad nanometers every week, which is, there won't be one for this episode, but with the episodes where, especially if I've gone into the archives to find the files, there's loads of really juicy stuff that won't see the light of day anywhere else. So for Patreon subscribers, they get all those. Everyone gets those for free. How's my diet going? Great. I had about 10 pints on Saturday, and then it looks like, owing to the detritus, I had a kebab at 2 a.m. And then the next day I had lots of hangover food. So I knew what it was like to be Eva Green that day. So, yeah. Let's do some quiz questions. Don't forget there's 10 and I haven't edited the episode yet, so they may not appear fully in this episode. I may edit them out. It's all TBC, isn't it? TBC. Let's do it. Question number 1. Joan's parents came from which Caribbean island? Question number 2. What was the name of her parents? So what was her father's name and her mother's name? Question number 3, what job did Joan's sisters do? Question number 4, what hospital in Los Angeles did Joan train at? Question number 5, what was Joan's middle name? Question number 6, what was Tony studying at university? Whoop, burpee. Question number 7, what part of London did her parents live? Hang on. Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is actually a 2-part question. So I will give you a point for each. So what part of London did Joan's parents live in? So if you get the part of London, I'll give you a point. If you get the street name, you get, and the place, the part of London, you get 2 points. Or if you just get the street name, you get 1 point. Although the place of London is actually easier than the street name. Anyway, you get it. Question number 8. What street did Tony live on? Question number 9. On Christmas Day, what was the song that Joan played on the piano? And question number 10. What speeds were the winds which were coming into London on Boxing Day? So there you go. We'll do the answers to those quiz questions next, and we'll do some extra stuff that may not have made it into the episode as well. There's definitely one bit that didn't make it into the episode, and who knows, I haven't edited it yet. Cake of the week this week. I'm still on my diet, even though I had a couple of beers at the weekend and a kebab, which was all very nice. I had some chocolate as well. I had a 4-pack of Snickers and a big old tub of ice cream, and I've just had 4 brownies. Unfortunately, I bought those as well. And do you know what? You have to eat them up, don't they? Otherwise, they go to waste. Anyway, so cake of the week this week is lemon meringue pie. Ooh, it's very much worth kind of having a little Google search of a lemon meringue pie. Got a nice crumbly pastry base. It's more of a biscuity base. I prefer the ones that are kind of biscuity base, and therefore, it's not flaky, but you kind of cut into it. It holds its own shape, but when you cut into it, it breaks apart like a nice biscuit. Then there's kind of a lemon curd filling and a nice soft fluffy meringue on top. So not one of those hard crispy meringues that you got to bite into, which are very nice. I do love those. But this is kind of a nice soft meringue. It's really nice. And it's normally around about 9,000 calories per bite. But you know what? It's worth it. It's really nice. The lemon is quite sharp. The meringue is really sweet. The base is kind of nice and crumbly. So it's a really nice mix of flavours and textures. So if you weren't hungry now, then you are hungry now. And yeah, treat yourself to a lemon meringue pie. God, I would love one. I found apparently there's a shop in London. I'm yet to try it out, but it's a cake shop, and you can go. They do really nice cakes, and apparently you can go in there. You can pay your money like 15 quid, and it's unlimited cakes. You can literally sit there and go, I'll have one of those. Oh, delicious. Delicious. Oh. Throwing in a new bit into this bit into Extra Mile. Favorite podcast moment. Sometimes there's things in here that I put into episodes, and because I haven't edited Extra Mile yet, these are bits that you won't know about. So, and normally this sometimes I tell Patreon subscribers about it, but sometimes there are bits that no one ever knows, and I keep them very secret. But if you go back to episodes called The Yellow Ribbons of Hanwell, which is the story of Alice Gross, the teenager who was out jogging by the canal and then she got murdered and hidden under a log for absolutely ages, and eventually they found her. Well, I think I did like a 3-parter on her. If you listen to that episode, I'm going to play a clip very shortly. If you listen to that episode, you will hear the sounds of someone singing, and that is Alice Gross. It's her real voice. It was, I think, it was recorded by one of her teachers. So I never mentioned that in the episode because I hadn't edited it at that point. Big old horrible boat going past. That's what the horrible sound is. But I'm going to play that little clip now.
But just 7 years ago, the basement flat was rented out to a builder with a baby, a bride-to-be, and a bicycle. And although hard-working, none of the residents knew about his deadly past or his sadistic obsession. As far as we know, its tenant never knew Alice. She never knew him. And although, as he cycled home from work, the murder of a young girl might not have been on his mind, in a chance encounter, there may have been something oddly familiar about Alice, which stirred his emotions and drove him to kill.
So there we go, folks. That was that. So I'm going to dive into some stuff that, some extra stuff into the episode. And Jesus Christ, what is that? God, bloody airplane going past, flying bloody low. I'll tell you that much. So we'll dive into some stuff for. Hang on, sorry, phones are going off. Hello.
Excuse me. I wish to complain in the strongest possible terms about your depiction of pilots of small private aircraft, which routinely ruin your recording.
Oh dear. Right. Okay. Here we go.
I refute the fact that we're all lazy, privileged company directors with nothing better to do than buzz-bomb your boat. I'll have you know I work at least 3 whole hours a week. In fact, last week I laid off 300 employees on minimum wage, just so I could afford a new annex to my Olympic-sized swimming pool. Well, actually, I had my secretary sack them, but the point stands. Also, we're not all golf twats wearing gaudy Pringle sweaters and waste our days pretending to work when in fact we just hit balls and brag about our wealth. In fact, I've only played golf 62 times this week, as I've been far too busy cheating on my wife, my mistress, my mistress's mistress, all of the secretaries I'm having an affair with, or anything in a skirt, or not in a skirt to be blunt. I went to Eton. It makes no difference to me. Pop a wig on a toaster and I'll hump it. And no, we don't all have wanky cars for arrogant tosspots. In fact, I only own 6 BMWs, none of which are indicators. But then again, I've never read the manual, as I'm far too busy counting my money and deciding how little I shall pay in tax. As tax, as we all know, is just for poor people. So unless you want my very expensive lawyer to get medieval on your backside, I suggest you retract your incorrect depiction of the upper classes. Right, I'm off for a business lunch. Tally-ho!
Oh, sorry, folks. Give me a minute while I hunt out Eva's second best rocket launcher and I blow this bloody tosspot out of the sky. Right. Here it is. Right. Come get some, you posh tosspot. And there we go, folks. Right, we're back. We're back. His crashed plane is landed on the golf course. So brilliant. Hopefully it killed some golfers while we were there. So let's dive into some extra stuff about this case. So kind of as we mentioned about it, the sisters in the family, they really didn't like Tony from the start. When they kind of met him, they could kind of see, when you look at him, you can see why she's kind of interested in him. He's handsome and he's got the confidence about him, and it looks like he's going to be doing well because he's gone off the helicopter, literally flying over right now. Utter bastard. They really didn't like him. As mentioned in the episode, they said that he was a ticking time bomb. They could see that, and they even said he was a ticking time bomb and that her time was running out. So quite rightly, she broke up with him. This was around late 1998, early 1999. We're not too sure of the exact date. It's kind of the arrogance, the reference to him saying that he wasn't that keen on her. He kind of said that eventually when he was arrested. This wasn't something he said way back in 1999. Although knowing him being such an arrogant turd, he probably would have said that anyway, wouldn't he? Oh, I'm not that bothered about you. He's kind of that arrogant little turd. But he really did become obsessed with the idea that he was in love with her and that he had to get her back. So we really don't know whether he loved her or whether it really was the furiousness of her rejecting him. Unfortunately, he's one of those types of people who just can't take rejection. It's like, grow up, for God's sake. Oh, she's the only woman I'll ever love. Yeah, grow up, you turd. It's just like, why are people like that? It's like, there's more than 8 billion people in the world, and yet someone has to go, oh no, this is the only person I'll ever love in my life. Grow up. What are you, 4 years old? Wow, what a turd. As mentioned, he started becoming quite violent. He pushed her off a bike. He smashed a light bulb, which injured her eye. And quite rightly, around that point, she was like, you know what? I don't want anything to do with it anymore. Unfortunately, we're around that point where the domestic violence laws are still in an awful shape. Harassment is in an awful shape. Stalking does not exist as a crime at that point. So she did go to the police, but there was very little that they could kind of do at that point. They asked her if she wanted counselling for it. They gave her the number of a lawyer to see whether she should consult them to see about trying to get him banned from being any way nearer. But it was as mentioned in this episode, in around February 1989, when he was kind of angry and he went to her parents' house and smashed the patio door. Even at that point the police were unable to do anything, because they were able to caution him. It was that kind of moment that made him kind of take a step back. Because if you think about it, even though it's a caution, it could lead to something else. You could be moving on from that point. And I've got mates who've done really well in their careers, but their careers have stalled slightly because they have a conviction for drink driving. Things like that, especially in certain professions, can really hold you back. Even if you just go, oh, come on, it was something that I did 20, 30 years ago, it can still hold you back. Therefore, you have to be really, really cautious about things. But after that moment, silence for almost like 4 years. He went off, did his degree at the University of Westminster. She did hers. She trained, and both of them seemed at that point to flourish. He seemed to be doing well. He graduated and got his degree, but then I think that kind of kept him occupied, and then he was in and out of jobs. And I think that was the problem when you're busy and you're doing stuff, that really keeps your mind occupied. And sometimes you're too exhausted to think about. When you go through a traumatic time in life, sometimes it's just good to just knuckle down and just focus on stuff. If I have a shit day, I always find that if I clean the house, that really helps as well. I had one day when I used to live with my mates years ago, and I think I was having a rough time with a girlfriend at the time. This was years before Eva, and I woke up early in the morning, and I just thought, I'm going to tackle the back garden, because the back garden was just weeds and nettles and everything. And one of my mates woke up with a hangover at about noon, and he looked out the window to plumes of smoke. And in the middle of the garden was everything had been cleared. I'd made a big pyre full of nettles and weeds that I'd set fire to burn them off. And because the nettles and weeds were grabbing hold of my jacket and it was really pissing me off, I just went in sleeves and t-shirt. And by the end, my arms were dripping with blood. And I was just there going, looking like a massive maniac. But you know what? It really helped to kind of... Sometimes that's why I go walking every day. That's why I do big walks. Big walks are good for clearing your head. Sitting around on social media, doom scrolling, replying to shit, watching crap on telly does you no good whatsoever. Getting off your arse and going for a little walk and just clearing your head, that can do that can do so much good for you. That's why I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news in 6 or 7 months now, and it's great. I've no idea what's going on in the world, because you don't need to know. You really don't need to know what is going on in the world. It doesn't affect you. Really, just ignore it. Just ignore it and wait until someone goes, oh, this is really important. You need to focus on this because it affects you. But if you think about it, you have no control over anything in the world. So sometimes it's worth not knowing until it springs up and goes, whoa, and then you go, right, I'm awake now. Joan moved into her house kind of October-ish 1994. It seemed like this was always going to be something that she was going to be doing. She'd been planning this for a while. Now, something I didn't put in the episode, that she... police initially suspected that there was someone else who was potentially a key suspect in the case. So, in and around that same time, she was going to court because she was involved with... it doesn't say what his name was, which is really annoying. But there was another gentleman. It was at Knightsbridge Crown Court, and he was attempting to use her name on a fraudulent mortgage claim. So I'm trying to get the full details on this. She was the chief witness in the case at Knightsbridge Crown Court in October 1994. During the case, the court was told that the accused man was obsessed with her. Unfortunately, these details, as happens, this was from the Evening Standard, and unfortunately, this threw me off when I was researching this. The Evening Standard had taken the details of Anthony Diedrich and the court case and mashed them together, and the person involved in the case, this mortgage case, is not Anthony Diedrich at all. The person, in fact, was a trainee cardiac surgeon. Joan and this unnamed trainee cardiac surgeon had kind of come together to do kind of a mortgage application on a flat in Belsize Park, which is near the hospital where she was staying. But when she changed her mind and refused to be involved, he went ahead anyway and signed the papers early. So he forged her signature for a loan to buy a Jaguar car. Fraud came to light when he fell behind with the payments. If you think about it, this definitely isn't Anthony Diedrich. Because if you think about it, she stopped talking to him for a good couple of years, and she doesn't want anything to do with him. So why would she turn around suddenly and go, I know, we'll go into a mortgage together? Doesn't make any sense, does it? So, unfortunately, well done, Evening Standard, but you've put two pieces of incorrect information together. So initially, the police thought it was this unnamed trainee cardiac surgeon who was potentially... her... Oh, sorry, the boat's rocking. I'm right next to a lock, and loads of boats are going through the lock at the moment. And every time a boat goes through the lock, my boat lurches forwards and backwards and side by side. So I've had to pause the recording quite a lot. But in Extra Mile, I don't have to do that. So the police assumed it could have been this guy. He was never named. It was determined it wasn't him. So as mentioned, they had no contact for a good couple of years. Whether Anthony had entirely forgotten about her, we don't know. We know that he got into another couple of relationships. Obviously, those relationships were probably not great for the ladies. He would probably, he can't really change who he is. He's that kind of person, very possessive. It was said that he wasn't really in work around that time. He was in and out of kind of bit jobs, kind of doing bits here and there, but he's not really involved. So therefore, at the time of the murder, he was unemployed. Therefore, he hasn't got anything to do. Therefore, he's got lots of time to stalk her and follow her around, and his mind's not occupied. Therefore, all he's doing is thinking about her. As mentioned in the episode, police ultimately, this was when they arrested him. Ultimately, they found in his flat. So he'd made a homemade listening device to record her telephone conversations. Don't forget, he's into IT. He's a computer programmer. He's really into that kind of thing. He'd either made or purchased a sophisticated body heat detector, and he spied on Joan at the family home, and he admitted watching her through a spy hole as she undressed in her bedroom at night. Creepy. He also put in a listening device in her bedroom so he could listen to her sleep, and who knows what else as well. But ironically, he would also say it is not an obsession. Hello? If it's not an obsession, what is it? My obsession is aircraft. There's another helicopter flying over. Bloody helicopters. To his friends, he endlessly talked about Dr. Francisco. He wrote letters to her mother's house. He telephoned her mother to find out where she was living. Obviously, her mother is never going to turn around and go, oh yeah, you need to go to Ordnance Hill in St John's Wood. It's never going to happen. He called the switchboard at the Royal Free Hospital in North London where the doctor was working. Every time he got a response, he promptly put the phone down. The hospital receptionist, Tracy Mundy, reported in court that the caller was well-spoken, soft with no accent. He asked if she was on duty, but when Tracy asked if he wanted to be put in touch with her, i.e. to beep her, because don't forget, all doctors had beepers back then, he would hang up. On one occasion, he called 8 to 10 times a day. Mate, get a job. Get a job, for God's sake. 21st of December, so this is a couple of days before the murder, he hand-delivered a letter to the home of her mother. Unfortunately, it wasn't said what was written in that letter, but I'm very much guessing that it was in connection to where she was living. We also don't know how he knew that she was going to be on a flight to Los Angeles on the Boxing Day at 2 p.m, but that seems to be the thing that really quickened his decisions at this point, that he was kind of going, right, she's leaving forever. Well, I mean, he's assuming she's leaving forever because she's on a flight to Los Angeles, which is ridiculous. Because A, she knows her sisters are in Los Angeles and, she goes there for a holiday. But she did go there for some training at Cedar Sinai for a while. So maybe he is thinking, I'll lose her forever. Do you know what? Good for her. If she would have gone, she wouldn't have had anything to do with that jerk off ever again. And maybe for everyone that would have been a blessing, except for whoever would become his future girlfriend. God help any of those. Her flat, more of a kind of, it's a basement flat, but it's more kind of a maisonette flat, which means it covers 2 floors. So it's ground floor and basement floor and possibly ground floor as well. But we don't really know much about that. Body was found at 1 p.m. After several calls from her mother went unanswered. As mentioned in the episode, the police were called and they broke down the door. They found her at the foot of the stairs. No one saw what happened. No one heard what happened. There were no witnesses, which is kind of interesting. That I think this is kind of the thing, if you think about it, that it's a very middle-class area of St John's Wood. It's very posh. There's white middle-class people. And if you think about it, there's a black gentleman standing around loitering. So therefore, people are more likely to notice him. If he was a white guy in kind of a with an artist's easel and a pipe, they'd go, oh, it's just some guy painting. Oh, it looks like a culture type. But I think that there is a little bit of kind of inherent racism that's in there, that they see a black guy on a predominantly white street and they go, oh well, we noticed that. Hence, there's 19 witnesses who saw him loitering, but no one called the police. He was loitering, but no one called the police. And no one saw him enter her flat. So why did they not see him enter the flat? If they were suspicious of a person, why did they see him but not do anything? it's one of those things, isn't it, where do you know what? People just don't want to get involved, do they? They look and they peep out and they go, "Oh, that looks bad." Or as we would know in today's society, if someone saw something bad, they would pull their phones out, not to send it to police, but to see how many likes they can get on TikTok. Right? But kind of back then, people would kind of look and go, "Oh," and then they'd walk away. And then the next day they'd tell their friends, "Oh, I saw something suspicious yesterday," but they wouldn't do anything about it. That's the thing. People just don't want to get involved. At the crime scene, no fingerprints. So it's likely that he was wearing gloves. As mentioned, he escaped through the back door. So he'd got access through the front. We don't know whether she let him in. We don't know whether he knocked on the door, she opened the door, realised it was him, tried to pacify him, or whether he barged his way in and closed the door. We don't know that. We know that he fled through the back garden, and he must have had to climb over neighbours' gates to get out, because the only way out is via Acacia Road, which is about 2 houses down. So, yeah. Spots of evidence. The tiny blood spots. So, forensic expert Dr. Anne Priston, she would later admit in the later trial that the 3 tiny spots of blood, when she first examined it, she assumed that they belonged to the doctor, as Joan had bled slightly from the mouth. But obviously, as mentioned in the case, it wasn't explained to her that Joan was wearing the t-shirt inside out. That's that kind of crucial assumption where she'd gone, well, she sees blood, it's on the inside of the t-shirt, therefore it must be Joan's. But if Joan's wearing the t-shirt inside out, therefore the inside is technically the outside, therefore the blood could be anyone's. So unfortunately, she made a really crucial mistake there. She is to blame, but also I think whoever the detective who handed her the t-shirt should have made that clear as well. Should have made it clear this t-shirt was worn inside out, therefore the outside is in, the inside is out. Do you know, if she was wearing the t-shirt back to front, again, announce it's back to front. Do you know, it's just that simple little detail, although you would have expected her to kind of see any kind of blood stains on there, to look at it and go, right, this is kind of key. Which is not to say she's not experienced. She's highly experienced. She was part of the Nobel Prize winning team at King's College. She joined the Metropolitan Police Forensic Science Laboratory in 1970. The whole host of kind of... she worked on cases basically all over the country, all over the world, in fact. Delivered training presentations to the Forensic Science Service, the Metropolitan Police Crime Academy and the University of Sussex. She is also a visiting lecturer at King's College London, teaching graduate students for a master's degree in forensic science, and a tutor at the Inner Temple Advocacy Masterclass. For many years, Dr. Priston designed and ran the training days for judges of the London Crown Courts, the Courts of Appeal and the High Court. Dr. Priston holds the Freedom of the City in London, and in March 1998 was invested with an OBE. So, 4 years after the court case, after the lack of a court case, of which her evidence failed to convict someone because she had the t-shirt inside out, and 1 year before the evidence in court would go, hang on a minute, you ballsed up this piece of information and we could have arrested this guy if you would have done your job properly. She was given an OBE, which is Order of the British Empire, which is very, very high up. A very, very prestigious award, but, you know, that's the way things go, isn't it, in this country? You kind of, you fail upwards. So that's a happy note to end it on. Let's do the quiz questions, and then I'm going to head off to the coffee shop. Oh, I'm going to head off before the rain kicks in. I think rain's going to kick off very shortly, but I can wear my new waterproof. Oh, Michael, your life is exciting. That's the high. Everyone always thinks I wear the same clothes. Everyone always thinks if you see me, you go, oh, he's wearing shorts and boots and a Murder Mile t-shirt and a jacket. And it's like, I own 15 pairs of the same set of shorts because I don't like making decisions. I've got 12 sets of the same Murder Mile t-shirt. I've got a series of the same jackets, and when I go out and buy boots, I always buy the same pair of boots because they're comfortable. Why buy anything different? So it's weird. Everyone always goes, "Oh, he always wears the same clothes." I don't wear the same clothes. I wear different clothes. It's just that they look identical because they are identical. Right, let's do the quiz questions. Something I learnt from Albert Einstein, but actually I got that from the film The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, because he does that because Einstein does it. Not to equate me to Einstein or Jeff Goldblum, but it's a good film and it's something that stuck in my head. Also, I'm not that keen on fashion. I don't give a shit. Question number 1. Joan's parents came from which Caribbean island? It was St. Lucia. Question number 2. What was the name of her parents? They were Alfred and Venus. Question number 3. What job did Joan's sisters do? They were lawyers. Question number 4. What hospital in Los Angeles did Joan train at? It was the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Question number 5. What was Joan's middle name? It was Sarah. Question number 6. What was Tony studying at university? It was computer programming. Question number 7. Don't forget this is a two-parter. What part of London did Joan's parents live in? So if you got the part of London, which was Acton, you get 1 point. If you also got, or separately, if you also got the Ridgeway, which was the street, you get another point. If you got both, you get 2 points, which means technically you can get 11 points for this. Which is redundant because there's no prizes. Question number 8. What street did Tony live on? He lived on Fermoy Road. And if you go back to the episode called The Rag and Bone Man, that at the end of the episode, that's where he did his first attempted murder. You're welcome. Question number 9. On Christmas Day, what was one of the songs that Joan played on the piano? It was Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. And question number 10. What speeds were the winds coming into London on Boxing Day? They were 70 miles an hour. So there you go, folks. That's me done. Oh, I yawn. So thank you for supporting the show. It's very much appreciated. If you enjoy it, tell your friends. If you can do a review, that's very much appreciated. That really helps us little podcasts stay alive, because at the moment it is really tough. Charts dominated by the big podcasts who have money and teams behind them, and we're just little people doing it from our bedrooms and trying to keep people entertained. So if you can do a little review, that's very much appreciated. Supporting the show, tell your friends, always appreciated. Have a good one, folks. Stay safe, be good, lots of love, be well.